So are you ready for some good stuff? Are you ready for some good stuff today? So today we're going to be talking about what? How to reorganize your brain. Do you understand why I use the word reorganize? Because we have these things in our brains that are firing, and they form pathways, and they connect. And by the time we're 7 years old, the majority of the brain waves have already formed in our lives. And then as we go on, they keep forming, and they keep forming this whole neural network up there. And science has shown this, that this neural network becomes the pattern of how we think, the pattern of how we behave. Everything is a pattern. And then we get to a point where we're locked in. Our subconscious mind is programmed. And for us to unprogram it requires us to reorganize what's going on in there. And that's the work. And so we're going to take time to really explore this today by looking at that when we talk about this, our environment is a reflection of our mind. In other words, right now, everyone is in this room, and you can see the same things. The same things are here. And each one of you is having a completely different experience in this moment. You're feeling a completely different energy. The energy around you feels differently. What you're looking at, you're looking through different filters and everything. You have created that environment. Right now, there are people here who love me. And there's some people who don't feel so good about me. And you know what? I'm not any different. I'm still the same person. But the filter that you look at me through is different. That's why people are attracted to some people and not attracted to others, and then others are attracted to these that the others weren't attracted to, and that. Not good or bad. You get that? There is no good or bad. We've got to get away from this judgment thing of things being bad and good and whatever. No. It's not that way. Not that way at all. I'm going to recall a story. And the story is about this king in India. And this king in India had this advisor. And this advisor advised him on everything. The only time this advisor didn't go with the king was when he was in the bathroom or he was with the queen in bed. Those two things the advisor, but the advisor was with him all the time. And one day the king decided to go ride his royal horse. And he rode his royal horse, and the advisor wasn't with him. He hadn't asked about it. And when he riding, there was a snake, and the horse jumped in a funny way, and the king went down, and he broke his elbow and was all bloody. And so he went to his advisor, and his advisor looked at him and said, "This is good." And the king got real upset. "What do you mean this is good? My arm's bloody. It's broken. I'm going to be out of the habit for a while. That's awful. Take him to the dungeon." So the guards take the advisor to the dungeon, put him into the dungeon. And the king goes off and he decides he's going to go ride again. He wants to get back on the horse. So he goes by himself. He starts riding, and he's riding for hours. Lo and behold, he's ridden so far that he's actually outside of his kingdom. And he gets caught by a tribe of cannibals. And you know what cannibals do? So they took him, they bound him, and they took him back to the camp, and they put him in this spot here, and they started cooking this, building this huge fire. And they got this long pole that they were going to put the king in, and they were going to barbecue the king. He was going to be the dinner. And so the kings are, "Oh my God, I don't know what's going on. What's my God? Oh my God, oh my God." And then what ends up happening is they have to undress him to get him on this, put the skewer in him. So they undress him, and they notice that when they took off most of his clothes, he was a big one. And so he was going to make the most delicious dinner. The most delicious dinner. But then they took off the sleeve on his arm, and they noticed the blood and the broken bone, and they realized they couldn't make this sacrifice to God and to eat it because they only believed in purity as sacrifice. So they took the king, they put him on his horse, and they said, "Get out of here." And the king, as he's riding back, and he goes, oh my God, thank God I had the broken arm. And then he realized, my advisor told me that it was good, and I threw him in jail. So what's happened in your life that you've labeled as so horrific, and you've not seen what is good? It's real interesting, because how's your brain wired? If you think back and you go back and you pick up something that's happened in your life that may have been horrific, that you may have felt is really bad, you realize that your brain is wired that every time you see anything like that, you've already attached an emotion to it, haven't you? And so what happens then? That person attached to that emotion, every time they come up in your life, the emotion's there, you're going to have a negative feeling about it, aren't you? If it's an event, it's going to happen that. Then what happens if someone comes along that reminds you of that person? Same emotions attached, right? So what's the key? You have to separate the emotion from the person. You have to separate the emotion from the event. When you do that, now you're seeing it through the eyes of the divine, because the eyes of the divine does not judge. It sees things as neither good nor evil. They just are. And so when we're trying to rewire our brain, that's why we're reorganizing it. We're trying to reorganize our brain to be able to see that it's always really in balance unless we choose to not see it in balance. And so when we come to this idea, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence is therefore, it's not an action, it's a habit. Everything in our lives are habits, how we think, how we act. And here's the key. Most everyone is repeating 95% of the thoughts you're having today are thoughts you had yesterday. 95%. And what are the majority of your thoughts? 70, 80% of the thoughts that you have today are not going to be positive thoughts. Because you've been conditioned by what? The news, the schools, the religions, everything are negative thoughts. So unless you're making a conscious effort to change your habit of thinking, you're locked into repeating your life over and over and over again. And if it's not a good life and you keep going down, depression comes in, anxiety comes in, suicide can come in. Suicide is really a habit of thinking about yourself that you're not worthy and that there is no possibility of you getting better. I dealt with that this week with someone. It's not a pleasant place for a person to be. It's not a pleasant place to try to assist. Because what you learn as you're dealing with this stuff is you can't fix them. Do you get that? You can only fix yourself. So what can you do with someone like that? You can give them ideas, and if they're open, they can see it for themselves. And they can begin to maybe have hope through watching you, through listening to you, through you knowing their truth. So I got this a week and a half ago from the hypnotist that I talked to in Connecticut, and I love it. I'm adopting it as my new model. So if you come to me and you start telling me a story, I'm telling you guys got some stories, and I've heard some of them. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to say, I care, but not that much. Did you get that? Because I can't care that much. Do you know why I can't care that much? Because I have no control over what you do or what you experience. And if I put myself in a position to know and to care about you when I don't have control, I'm going to be friggin' miserable. And guess what? Sorry, wrong number. I choose not to be miserable. That's why you never lower your energy to come down to someone else. You stay high in energy so that they can aspire up to you, so you can put a hand out and reach for them and help them rise up to a higher vibration, a higher energy. You don't come down and step down to their level, because then you both got to go up. That's a bigger load. Why would you do that? That doesn't make sense. Persistent and consistent repetition is the key to change. You've heard me say this from day one as a minister. Day one, you must be persistent and consistent with everything in your spiritual practice. If you are not, your old habits cannot change. Your old habits have to change through your persistent and consistent behavior. Our job is to choose what we want and then build a habit that supports that choice. That's it. That's the secret to life. Here's the first question. What have you chosen? Can't build a habit until you've chosen. Then I ask the question, when you tell me your choice, is it really your choice? Is it your mother's choice, your dad's choice, your church's choice, your spouse's choice, your children's choice, your boyfriend, girlfriend's choice? Is it really your choice, or are you trying to please someone else? We've got to give up the idea that we can ever please anyone and realize it all starts here. What are you longing to do? What is in your heart that is wanting to be expressed that only you can express? I don't know what it is for you. That's your job to figure out. Does that make sense? That's why we talk about the values process here. It's fascinating. We talk about that. We've had John G. Martini here 7 or 8 times. I've taught the value process probably 20 times. Most people here have taken the values process and understand their values, but I'm going to bet you right now less than 20% of the people can immediately tell me their values off the top of their head. What does that mean? It means they haven't chosen to really change. It was all they were giving themselves lip service. As a minister, your job is to hold people accountable. It's not to be soft with people. There's too many people being soft with people out there. There's too many people not holding people accountable to their words. Why would you want to be around people that don't hold you accountable? Isn't that a great question? You know why? Because you formed a habit that it feels good if they come down to my level and they say, whoa, yeah, I see why you can't do it. You can't do it because this is happening, that's happening, that's happened. And what have you built? Excuse after excuse after excuse. And have you changed? No. And isn't it about growing? Isn't it about becoming more? That's what's in us, that desires. We only get depressed when we're not moving up in awareness. When we're moving up in awareness, we feel good, we feel juiced, we love who we are. I love the expansion. Gene and I are doing this online class. We spent 3 hours in class yesterday. It was friggin' great. Why? I'm raising my level of awareness and understanding and questioning things. She's raising her level in questioning and understanding, and we can communicate and discuss. Isn't that what couples are supposed to do? Couples, it isn't about just going on a date. It's not about just handling the kids and stuff. What is the purpose of a relationship? It's to support and grow each other. If it's not supporting and growing with you, you're going to divorce. You're going to run, or you're going to be absolutely miserable as long as you stay in the relationship. Because the joy comes from our lifting up. And it really is nice when you do it with other people. It's really nice with other people. The question you start asking, and this is going to be a tough one. I've heard them say it, that your income will be the average of the 5 people you hang around with the most. Your conscious awareness will be the level of the 5 people you hang around with the most. So now when you look at it, you have to ask the question, am I hanging with the right people? Ooh, I felt some butts pucker out there. Yeah, you didn't have to even laugh. I could feel it up here. I mean, the energy it made me go like this. Because it's really about the idea that, well, wait, then if I change, I'll leave them behind. Well, that's okay. If they don't choose to go up, guess what? The universe does not know a void, right? So the second you move up and someone moves off, someone else comes in and replaces them. I've had that conversation this last week with 6 people talking about what's happened in their lives, how people have left, and then as we explored it, guess what we found out? Someone even of a higher vibration entered their lives and they were just as good. But remember what I said at the beginning? To truly recognize your beloved, you don't go seek them, you go find them, you become aware of them. A lot of times the person's already there and we're just not aware. So that's because we've got a habit of thought that doesn't allow us to become aware. And so what I'm really understanding is that there are vibrations of consciousness. And the highest one, the most earthly one, is beta. And they divide beta into low, medium, and high beta. Many, many, many people in this room are high beta. What's high beta? They're so busy they ain't got time on their day to do anything else. They can't see, there's no time for meditation, there's no time for affirmations, there's no time for this. I got to get this done. I've got these goals, I'm getting it done. When you're in beta, you're screwed. Because you're trying to do things that can't be done. The idea is, how do I get from beta, high beta, lower it down, and how do I get into alpha? And alpha is a combination of theta and beta. Ideally, what you want to do is you want to get down into theta. Theta is a level of hypnosis. It's above delta. Delta is where you're sound asleep. This is where, theta is where your body is sleeping, but your mind is wide awake. And when your mind is wide awake, it is receptive to new ideas. It's receptive to the new vision. So if you ever watch a hypnosis, a lot of these people that are doing hypnosis online, listen to what's behind it. It's theta. Listen when you see Joe Dispenza, when he's doing his guided visualizations, it's theta. If you talk to any of these hypnotists, that I'm talking with a lot of hypnotists right now, they're putting theta out there. They want you in theta state because theta state's where you're receptive, where you can really plant a new seed into ground that will grow what you want to experience. Someone came up to me today and said to me, I'm listening to your 8-hour CD. Not CD, my YouTube channel, my YouTube video. I've got an 8-hour YouTube video that's reprogramming your brain with theta music behind it. You pop in buds, you go to sleep, the music takes you down the whole time you're being pumped with affirmations. That stuff works. It works deeply. I love that people are testing it because I want to see the results. The biggest response is they're sleeping better and they're waking up refreshed. I had a woman that wrote me from California that told me, I've been doing this for 2 weeks. I've never been more refreshed, more energized because I'm going and I'm actually doing what you're telling me to do. I'm saying to you, try it. Give it time. But if you're sitting there and you're just listening, what you're doing is you're building an understanding. Let me say something about understanding. It's nice, and your life won't change. It doesn't change a single bit by understanding something. What happens is when you understand something and you do it and you get a result, guess what you've got now? Wisdom. See, wisdom is where life changes. Wisdom is where everything comes into place. And when you own wisdom, you don't need a teacher. You've proven it to yourself. All a teacher is then is someone who's popping new ideas out for you to consider. Because guess what? That's all a teacher does. Because a teacher can't make you whole. I love when Tony Robbins did that video, I am not your guru. He can't change. He realizes that I'm not your guru. I can't change you. I can point things out. I can put a light and guide you, but you got to take the steps. You got to do the work. You see, reprogramming your brain only happens when you are so fed up with your life. And it can take an extreme event. It could take an extreme health event. It could take an extreme job event. It can take an extreme money event. Or it can just be that you emotionally are saying to yourself right now, this is it. Today is the new day. Today is the day I am recreating myself. I am now dedicating to myself. Here, all my family and friends, here I am. I am now recreating me. Know that I will be changing. I want you to come on this journey. If you come with me, I love it. If you don't, blessings to you. We'll see you in another life. Because those people will disappear. The people who've been at Agape for a long time realize the more you do the spiritual work, the more people will enter your life and leave your life. It's not good or bad. It just is. So reorganizing your brain requires that you consciously choose thoughts that are different. And you repeat those thoughts over and over until you form a pattern. It's as simple as this. Picture a tall, grassy hill. Okay? Got that picture? Picture now a bowling ball going down that hill. And picture someone rolling the bowling ball down that hill in the same spot over and over and over again. What happens? There's a groove now, right? So all you have to do is put the bowling ball down. It's going to go down that groove. That's your brain. For you to have a new life, you have to throw the bowling ball in a different place so it's not in the groove. You've got to create a new groove, and you've got to decide where is that groove. Well, I want that groove over there. No, that groove takes your bowling ball into the lake. That's not good. You don't want to drown the bowling ball. Oh, that way's a nice pasture. It's smooth. Okay, I'll roll it that way. So you have to decide, where is it you want to go? And then you've got to direct your thoughts, words, actions, and feelings toward that. Now, maybe before you go there, you may have to understand that I might have some work to do. I may have some work to do to release the emotions I've got attached to some really big events. That's the work that we talk about as forgiveness. That's the work of seeing balance. That's the work of seeing equanimity in our lives. But reorganizing your brain, it's that simple. You can reorganize your brain by going through your house and taking all the stuff that doesn't serve you and getting rid of it. Think about all the crap you've got in your home. And all of you've got a bunch of crap in your home. You probably haven't touched it in a year, 2 years, and it's sitting in that closet waiting for you to lose 10 pounds. Give it away. It's not real. You're holding on to excess baggage. You want to be free to move into the new you. In order to move into the new you, guess what? Something has to be let go of. Start with the physical, move to the mental, go to the emotional, and then embody it. When you embody it and you commit to it, commitment means what? There is no other option. Do you hear that? It's not, I did it 2 days this week, but the other 5 I was busy. That's not commitment. That's not commitment, and that's going to continue to be in your life. It's like, in listening to Joe Dispenza, he says, your body in meditation is going to want to not do it. It's going to want to get up. It's going to say, no, painful. I don't need to do this. No, do this. No, you have to tell your body, I own you, and I'm going to meditate for my time, and I'm not getting up till I do. And when you own your body, because that's where the habit's manifested, now you're back in control. But as long as you say, I can't sit and meditate, you're owned, and you will not change. So this is not a practice for the weak. This is a practice for the strong, and only the strong. I'm too busy to meditate. No, you're not. You're just not committed. The question I ask you, are you willing to look at yourself, decide who you want to be, and are you willing to commit?
I want to thank you for joining us today. I'm so grateful that you took your time to watch or listen to this message. If you found this message beneficial, I would ask that you go to our website, agapecsl.com. Once there, click on the donate button and experience the joy of conscious and purposeful giving. Or if you would like, text your gift by simply dialing 972-532-6976. It is through your gifts that we are able to bring this message to you in the world. I would ask that if you like this message, to please subscribe to my YouTube channel under my name, Lee Wolak. Again, I want to thank you for joining me in the Agape community as we learn how to better self-love through conscious living.